Okay, the time has come to give my Allis Chalmers AC-130 some attention. I've had this machine a little over 4 years. I've put roughly 46 hours on this machine throughout the entire time I've owned it, which is not a lot of hours at all. Since I work on a lot of other machines, this machine was never really used that much at all. So it's time for this machine to go, since I have the John Deere zero turn, but there is a few things, some obvious, that do need attention. The chute cover needs to be reattached. I do have it. It is broken, but I think I can make it work. The battery needs to be charged. It does have a new battery in it from last year. It wasn't dead when I went to try and start it, but I changed out the fuel and fuel filter, but I never primed the pump. So that needs to get taken care of. Charge up that battery and it will be good. Under the hood, we have a 25 horse Briggs & Stratton V-twin, originally identified as a 23 horse because the engine has been changed out. I'm going to be changing out the top cover on this engine. I'm going to switch it back to its original one, just so it looks factory under the hood, even though this is a newer engine with much lower hours. So I'm going off of how many hours I put on the machine and how many hours I pretty much put on this engine while it was in this machine. It's roughly the 46 hours, give or take a few. So definitely needs a bath. It does need new front tires, but I'm not going to change them out. I'll let the new owner take care of that. It's currently running a dual cable setup for the throttle and choke, but this machine came from the factory with a single. I will be switching it back to the single cable setup. I bought this machine from its original owner. He didn't take the greatest care of it. Yes, he stored it indoors, but the maintenance on it wasn't the greatest. That's why the previous engine had issues. So that's where we're at right now on this machine. Technically it went through a couple engines, because I put an engine in it and that engine shortly after blew up, and I got this engine here. This originally came out of the Poulon Pro, and this went in here and I was able to use it. I used it for a couple seasons. Now I got my John Deere zero turn, so there's really no need to keep this machine around. As for the market on a machine like this, I don't really know. I haven't really seen many of them come up for sale. I know a lot of times these decks rotted out. This one is solid. This machine just has one minor spot of rust or paint peel right here. It's not through, and that's all it is. Other than that, this machine is very clean. I've kept it in the tent shed for the last year and a half ish. Before that, it was sitting out, but it was covered up, and the last month or so it has been sitting out because the John Deere zero turn is where this used to park. So that's where we're at right now on this machine. The seat, yes, does have Gorilla Tape on it. It's not that bad. I've had a seat cover on this machine, but it does not really work out very well. It slips and slides around way too much. So I'll probably leave it the way it is and go with it like that. This does have provisions to add a choke right here. Basically, you swap out the entire control piece here, and you'd have a dual cable setup. But I'm going to try and reconnect it up with the actual throttle linkage and make it work. I do have the piece for it. Just got to figure out how it goes back on. Also, the only other thing that does not work on this machine is the cruise control. But my neighbor across the street has he has a Massey Ferguson, which is pretty much identical to the Allis Chalmers. His is a lot bigger. His is the garden tractor. His cruise control works, but his parking brake doesn't. And ironically, both machines use the same dash. His parking brake handle actually slides right out, while my cruise control handle doesn't slide out, but it's not connected to anything. I think it's possibly broken on the bottom side, and there's a spring that attaches to it. Will I fix it? No. Cruise control definitely is not a big deal on a hydrostatic foot pedal drive machine. So as for blades, it should get a set of blades. Those were put on 4 years ago. I even think this machine has greasable spindles. So the deck, if it does have them, will get greased. We'll grease the front bearings. We'll grease the front spindles on the steering. And we'll get this machine cleaned up and ready to go. It does need an oil change. It does need a filter change. But the filter will come with replacing the top cover. The oil will get replaced as time goes on before I get this machine ready to go. I will cut with this machine once more before I do send it down the road, just to make sure everything is good. But this machine has been very reliable with this engine throughout the entire time I've owned it. So the old engine, not so much. This engine here, extremely reliable. So that's pretty much it for the Allis Chalmers AC-130. Going to get some work done on this while I'm waiting for parts on other machines, and hopefully get this machine ready to go down the road. So I'll talk to them later. Please keep it redneck like always, and please subscribe and comment.